Hello, everybody. Today I have Sabrina Victoria here on the podcast, and she has so many interesting stories about her life and the things that she has had to overcome. So I know she's going to give us some good advice and tips about how to reframe and get past things that are challenging in our lives. So I can't wait for you to tell everybody more about yourself and your journey.
Yes. So, born and raised in Chicago. I was actually raised as a Jehovah's Witness, and everything was fine until I ended up pregnant at the age of 20, which is a huge no-no. And I was not married. So I should say it's a no-no if you're not married. Disassociated from my entire family, my entire church, basically everything that I had ever known, and was cast out into the world and was basically the stereotypical single mom. So no child support, paycheck to paycheck, drowning in sorrow, all of the things that go along with being a single mom, as far as unworthiness, feeling dirty, feeling sinful, feeling like everyone's talking about you behind your back. And I was the kind of poor where you dig in your couch cushions to find money because you have no money anywhere, and you find 42 cents, and then you take your car and you drive it to the gas station and you put 42 cents of gas in your car. And then when you get back in your car still says it's on empty. That kind of poor. So not fun. A year or two into that, I met a man who I thought was going to save me because he had money. And I ignored all of the red flags that were stapled all over his body. And I fell into that relationship hook, line, and sinker. So it was very manipulative. I was very naive. He very quickly, convinced me to move in with him. You don't have to pay any bills, just clean the house. And so got rid of my place, moved into his place. Then soon after that, he's like, quit your job and work for my job. We'll build an empire together. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So quit my job. So now he's in charge of how much money I make. And then he wasn't paying me nearly enough. He had me, I called it my allowance because it was just so ridiculous what he was giving me. And I couldn't pay my phone bill. So I came to him one day and I was like, can't pay my phone bill. Instead of him being like, oh, let me give you more money so you can pay your phone bill. He's like, girl, I got you. Close down your phone and go onto my phone plan. So slowly you can see, and the whole time he's gifting it to me as if it's like a gift, but very slowly, then my car, very slowly, he owned my entire life. And I had no way to escape. I had no means of saving any money. And so 8 years in, I'm on the floor. The verbal abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse, obviously financial abuse got worse and worse and worse. 8 years in, I'm on the floor, in the bathroom, in the dark, just having a complete mental breakdown. For individuals that are familiar with narcissistic abuse or dealing with this right now and maybe aren't quite sure, it's that point where you're just crying out everything. You just can't. I used to just remember telling myself, I just can't do this anymore. And I pulled out my phone, and Google actually saved my life. I Googled, why is my boyfriend bullying me? Because I didn't know any other vernacular other than that. And Google told me I was in a narcissistic relationship. He told me I was codependent. And I dove headfirst into personal development, and years later, here I am. It took me a very long time to get out. I had to open up a secret bank account and started 3 online businesses secretly. Was able to collect $50,000 and escape. It's a whole nother crazy story, but lots of conviction, lots of trying to find my power, trying to find my voice, trying to remind myself that I am capable. And I'm here now to tell the story.
Do you think that having your child there inspired you and motivated you to get to a better life, or was it like all internal?
Yes and no. If you would have asked me then, yes, 100%. I had a deadline where I wanted to get out before my son was double digits. Um, because I knew that that's when they kind of start rebelling a little bit, is like 10, 12, 13. So just thinking of the testosterone together, oh my gosh. Like I
Yeah.
look at it now with my son learning to use his voice, and he's 18 now, almost 19. So it's like a whole nother story, but I couldn't even imagine going through like the 16, 17, 18 phase. It would have been horrible. And my son would have been a completely different person.
Yeah.
However,
You might have learned from your ex too.
yeah, yes, 100%. That's what people don't recognize. It's all fine and dandy when they're little, but once they start finding their voice, it's a whole nother story. So, or it seems fine and dandy. It's not fine and dandy when they're little, but it seems fine and dandy when they're little. Let me put that out there. But now looking back, I do recognize that a lot of it I did for myself. I knew I had something inside of me that was speaking truth, whispering truth to me, that I had power, that I had strength, that I was capable. It was very quiet. I barely heard it sometimes, but yeah, I did it for me too.
I relate to that, definitely. I was in an abusive relationship, but it was very brief, and I did have that internal compass that one day was just like, you deserve better than this. Like, this doesn't
Yes.
make any sense. Why put up with
Yes.
this? And it's strange how we can put that to the side and allow people to treat us so badly sometimes. And
Yes.
hard to value ourselves enough to say, I don't have to put up with this.
Exactly. Yep.
And that background of religious trauma definitely left you really vulnerable to a situation like that.
Yeah, 100. I didn't really recognize that until, I was well on my way through my journey. That didn't even really occur to me until probably, 2 or 3 years in, but just recognizing how that in itself stripped away so much of my self-worth, so much of my voice, so much of my power, and left me, which I think a lot of females can relate to this, just left me feeling as if I couldn't do anything without anybody else. So because I didn't have God on my side, because I'm such a sinner, like, who's going to be here to save me? So just falling into that woe is me victim mentality of not being able to, nobody's here to save me. I'm incapable of saving myself. So I guess this is my destiny for the rest of my life. And really sitting in that thought of, I'm just screwed. And this is my life. And there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, it's a horrible state of mind to be in.
Yeah, that's amazing that you were able to break through from that. So tell me about these businesses that you started in secret. What one was first?
Yeah, so a few of them. So I started out, which is actually sort of my journey now. It's my journey's been long with what I do now personally, but I started out with health and fitness. So got certified, was a spin instructor with health and fitness and nutrition. And I started with maybe just a handful of clients, 4 clients, 5 clients here
You
and
were able
there.
to do that online?
Yes, on social media. Yes, I started a YouTube channel, all of my little friends from like high school, because I was like, when I started doing that, I mean, I was like, I don't know, whatever that age is. So a lot of my friends, I don't even know how old I was, but younger than 30, like between 25 and 30, had kids. So, and so had I. So I was just working out constantly. Well, first of all, I was in a horrible state of mind. So that was my control, was staying thin. But because I was talking about it so much, a lot of my friends had kids. They had lost their physique. And so they were kind of looking to me, who was constantly posting pictures of my smoothies and my food and my workouts on a YouTube channel that he didn't know about. So I had invited all of my, I don't know, like 100 or so of my friends from Facebook. It was different back then. You know, like somebody said to go do something, you went to go do it. Now we're all in spammed all over the place. So it's totally different. But back then it was like, really cool. Let me look. So yeah, so I had a few clients going with that. And then I also was doing OfferUp. So I was doing flipping from thrift stores to sell, lifting on OfferUp. And then I was also selling a lot of my son's stuff. So I'd always plan on having another child. Once I recognized the relationship I was in, I wasn't interested in having children with it anymore, and I needed to get out. So I started listing 2 to 3 items on eBay. Just every single day. I just had a goal. I started writing goals down, and my goal was to list, 3 items a day, and 3 items times 30 is 90 items. And, once you really get that rolling, money just starts coming in. So money just started trickling in, and I wound up almost having like a little garage sale in the trunk of my car. So, like somebody would offer to buy a little something that I got at a thrift store, and I'd have a few other items in my trunk that were similar size, similar style. And so they'd come to buy the one lamp or table or clothing or whatever it was. And then I'd be like, hey, by the way, also have this. And was also thrifting in a way where I would redo clothing. So I'd go to the thrift store. I'd take a jacket for $2. Some of my old clothes or just some baggy t-shirts or something. And I'd tear them up and rip them and sew them on and make these really awesome designs. And that little $2 or $5 jacket now became a $50 or an $80 jacket. And I was able to sell those on eBay. So it took a very long time. I'm not going to lie. It took 4 years, but over the course of 4 years, I was able to collect $50,000.
Did you know that that was the goal amount that you needed? Like you broke it down into exactly what you needed in order to get out?
Yeah. So my first goal originally was $10,000. What happened was once I hit $6,000, I actually hit it in a year. I was so excited. I was like out of my mind. I felt like a millionaire because I remember I went from like parents to broke mom to broke spouse. I had never had so much money in my account before. So one day my boyfriend at the time, my ex, was coming up the stairs from wherever he was. And there was something in me that was like, I want him to see this. I want to prove that I am capable and I am smart and I can do all of the things. And I'm not worthless or disorganized or unworthy or whatever it is. And I wanted to like low key brag to him, which was so stupid. And I know I couldn't show it to him. Like it had to stay a secret, but I left the bank account. I had my bank account open and I just left it open for 2 seconds too long, let the ego get in the way. And he saw it, totally flipped a lid, threw my computer. It didn't break. And refused to pay me my allowance for 6 months. So I used up all of that money over those 6 months. So that was the $10,000. I was almost there. So after that happened, the whole thought process of fear just like hit me like a ton of bricks. I mean, he harassed me for probably a month on that. I'm unloyal. How could I? Disrespectful. Why would I have money? Why would I have a savings? Why am I not adding to the, why am I not paying for stuff if I have so much extra money? And so I got fearful. So then I had a goal of $30,000. And a whole nother story with that. Baby daddy wound up coming in soon after that and tried to take full custody of my son. So then I had 2 men in my life that were both just being total a-holes. He took me for full custody, literally stole my child, took him on a camping trip and then never gave him back.
Oh, that's so scary.
It was horrible. And so that costed me $18,000. So all the money that I had saved between my ex, stopping payments, to then still working my business, still doing all the things, I saved up $13,000, and then boom, My son's father came into the picture and just like, screw you, I'm taking him.
I feel like so many people would give up at that point and
Dude,
say, like, this is not meant to be. Like,
for real.
keep me where I'm at.
I'm so happy you're saying that, because that is exactly. So I still remember to the day so vividly. I was in the parking lot of my lawyer, and I had this 12-page piece of paper, the document, the child support, the rules for all the child support and the rules for the, back and forth. Cost me $18,000. And I have literally no money. I'm now negative. I now have credit card debt to pay my lawyer. And I'm just having a total breakdown, all dramatic in my car, like hitting the steering wheel, bawling my eyes out, because I couldn't really, during that duration of so I had work. I had all this money saved up 2 times already. During the duration of the custody, I just couldn't even function. I mean, if you could even imagine, I couldn't even function as an adult, barely. So my little side business I was doing just totally plummeted. Everything just went haywire mentally in my head. I was just in a constant state of anxiety all day, every day. So I had to have a conversation with myself in the car. Like, am I actually going to do this again? Like, I have no money. I have none. I have no money again. The universe, God, whatever you want to call him, obviously hates me. Obviously, I am being punished. Obviously, this is my life's journey to endure this mental, emotional, and sexual abuse for the rest of my life. And I had to ask myself, am I going to actually do this again? Like, I am so tired. Am I going to do this again? And I don't even know, but like, I was just like, I am not going to sit here and give into this. Like, I am going to keep trying I'm just going to keep trying until, because at least if I'm trying, there is a little sliver of light at the end of my tunnel. If I just give up, then I'm just screwed, like, just for the rest of my life. And I was very aware of the fact that even though I felt old, like when you're 30, you feel old, you're like, I'm going to die soon. I was still also very aware of the fact that I still had so much life left. And do I still want to do this for another 30, 40, 50, 60 years? No. So I did it again. And saved up $31,000. And yeah. And I walked out. I walked out with my son, our clothes, and my bicycle. That's it. Nothing else. And completely started over again.
Wow. It seems like if you have the right mindset, then you find a way.
Yeah.
Like, once you break out of that victim kind of mindset and you think, I can have control over this. Was there any particular resource that helped you to get through to that side?
Yes. Which is why I build the community that I am building now, which is why I run the company I run now, is so I didn't have the physical community that I needed. I did not have a church rallying for me. I didn't have loads of friends rallying for me, because when you're in those sort of abusive relationships, it's very isolating. They keep you away from everybody. And I knew that. So I had to play that game. Even while I'm doing all this reading and I'm like fighting through and I'm learning about myself and doing personal development, I was leading 2 totally different lives. I was leading a submissive life and this girl power life. And he didn't know about my girl power life. And the way that I was able to do that is because I didn't have a physical community. I remember watching, I don't even know who it was. I want to say it was Les Brown. Les Brown was like one of the first people that I met that was like, yeah, you, who I just fell in love with. He said something to the effect of, very early on, if you don't have a physical community, you need to read books. Because books are a community. And although I couldn't just sit, like, right, everybody can't just sit and just like read books forever. That speech that he had given was given like probably well before YouTube was like a really big thing. So in my mind, I was like, okay, podcasts, Audible, what are all the ways that I can do so I don't have to sit and read a book? So I just started scouring the internet with keywords of like how to find my voice, how to find my power, powerful women, transformational stories. And every single day, I'm not even kidding, I stopped listening to, and even up to this point in my life, barely listen to talk radio or music. Like I have no idea what the music is at all for years now. Because all I did from that point all the way up until now is fill my brain with people who are speaking positivity into my life. And that's how I did it. And that's part of why I do what I do now, because I recognize how important it is to continuously be reminding ourselves of the possibility of who you want to be, the possibility of who you could be, the possibility of the journey you could be on, and never losing sight of that.
That is amazing. Absolutely wonderful. And the internet, I mean, good and bad, but I think the good outweighs the bad for sure.
100%.
For the internet.
100%. Yeah, that's the whole thing. You know, we don't have any excuses anymore.
So what are you doing now to build that community and to help others and your business around that?
Yeah. So the company that I own is Human Better 365. It's a human transformation company. Basically, what I do is close the gap between schooling, secular schooling, and church. So we're somehow brought up to believe that as long as you have those two things, you're just good. And that's just not a thing. And I'm sure you recognize there's like this whole gap of stuff that like we're supposed to know in order to help us communicate better and get along better just in our lives, mentally, emotionally, physically, that's missing. So Human Better 365 is a curriculum that's filling that void between those two important things. And then I also run, so it's filled with people who are all about, raising the bar, how to be a better human, how to human better. Human is a verb. And then the podcast that I run is an all-female podcast. So I have a huge community of females. And the whole premise of that is to bring coaches or mentors or teachers to individuals that are suffering. So basically my story of what I wish I had, and allowing people to tell their stories, allowing people to share their experiences that they've been through. I very much am a firm believer that everybody can teach somebody something, and everybody can learn something from somebody. Everybody. It doesn't even matter. There are so many things that I know that you don't know, and there are so many things that you know that I don't know. And the only way to get down to the nitty-gritty of that is to actually have conversations like this where somebody can share, a part of them where people are like, oh my gosh, looking at you now, I never would have known that happened. There's people with stories like mine all over the place, same with you, who have these insane journeys that they've been through, and they don't talk about it. So because it's never talked about, people who are going around life living through these insane nightmares think to themselves, nobody else is going through this shit, so I must be the only one.
Right.
And
or there must be something wrong with me.
Yes.
I'm the one that has this stuff happen.
Yes, exactly. So the whole premise is, putting those two people together who can help each other and inspire each other and rise.
That is fantastic. Okay, so people can find you at humanbetter360.com. Is that right?
Yeah, so humanbetter365.com.
Oh, that makes sense. 5 days of the year, you're not in a human better.
I love it. Yes.
And then your podcast is, what was that again?
Herversion.life. And the reason it's called Her Version, not Her Vision, is version is your story or your truth. I believe that everyone has their own version of their story, and their version does not match everybody else's version. And that's okay. Your version is still valid. So how you perceived your story and how it happened to you is valid. So, a lot of church doesn't agree with my version. My parents don't necessarily agree with my version. My past abusers don't agree with my version, but it's my truth. And we have, I provide, that's what the platform is, provide a platform for people to speak their truth.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, that was super inspiring. And I love the concept of like filling your head with all of the positivity and not leaving any space for the negative.
Yes, yes, that's the most important thing. There's no need for it. We ourselves, just in general, in our heads, already have enough negativity going on. We don't need to be taking on other stuff from outside sources. There's no need for it. Pulling in as much positivity is the key.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on.
Yes.
And yeah, I look forward to chatting with you again in the future.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.